Catherine, you don't have to force yourself to come to the wedding next week, okay? Karen said, while taking care of me at my home after I was discharged from the hospital. In the future, I plan to have helpers come, but since the application at the welfare office hasn't been approved yet, Karen and Maria's husband will take turns coming to my house for a few days. I was unsure how to respond to Karen. I thought attending the wedding in my current state might be a burden, and I felt uneasy about causing unnecessary concern. It's unfortunate that you lost your sight, but there are convenient tools now, so you can live just fine. It's only been a short time since you lost your vision, the wedding. It's fine. Even though it was a car accident, you didn't get serious injury. You can move around now, so don't miss it. Don't you want to see Karen in her wedding dress? Oh, you can't see, right? I couldn't see Maria's face, but I sensed she was stifling a laugh, and anger welled up inside me. I stood up and told Maria to take me to the bathroom, and she grabbed my arm and led me there. I felt anger towards Maria. However, I felt that I couldn't survive if I expressed it openly, so I let her lead me and then accidentally kicked something soft. From behind me, I heard Karen's small scream. "Lily!" Karen was doing something at my feet. "Oh, what are you doing?" "You kicked Lily because she was at your feet. You need to be careful how you walk since you can't see." I had felt something soft, but Lily wasn't the type of dog to bark or run away when people got close. "And what's with your clothes, Catherine? They're full of wrinkles. It's hard to keep up with your appearance when you can't see, right?" In a world where I couldn't tell light from dark, I felt as if Maria was smiling. Holding back my frustration and feeling the anger trembling deep in my chest, I squeezed out, "I'll go to the wedding. My name is Catherine, 56 years old. I have no intention of getting married and enjoy my free life. After work, I cook for myself, work out at the gym, read books, and on my days off, I go to the movies. I live a very fulfilling life by my standards. However, my younger sister Maria, who lives nearby, doesn't seem to see it that way and often makes comments that show she disapproves of my lifestyle, though I think we maintain a good sisterly relationship. Sometimes Maria would visit my apartment unannounced, open the fridge, and take whatever she wanted without asking. Since she's 6 years younger, I've always spoiled her, but as we got older, she became unusually brazen. Even so, I figured that since Maria was married and likely facing financial hardships, I could overlook her taking some food from the fridge. One day, Maria brought a white dog to my house without any notice. "This is Lily, isn't she cute?" Maria showed me a white chihuahua in a small cage. The chihuahua stood up with its big ears and looked at my face with large eyes, then immediately lowered its gaze and curled up. I vaguely replied, "Yes, she is. To be honest, I don't really like dogs. I have a fear of even small dogs, probably because of a memory of being chased by a large dog that was let loose in the neighborhood when I was a child." Behind Maria, her daughter Karen was sitting, looking sadly at the dog. I've known Karen since she was a child. She resembled Maria with her beautiful features and intelligence. The only thing she didn't inherit from her mother was her personality. If I were to describe Maria in one word, it would be arrogant. On the other hand, if I were to describe Karen in one word, it would be humble. Karen has always been kind to me, and I've always thought of her as a sweet niece. Karen, while being nudged by Maria, looked uncomfortable as she opened her mouth to make a request. "I came to ask you for a favor, Catherine. Could you take care of Lily for me?" At first, I couldn't understand what she was talking about and tilted my head in confusion. Then Maria took Lily out of the cage, lifted her up, and forcefully pressed her into my arms. "Look, isn't she adorable? You live alone, so she'll keep you company. Isn't that great?" Honestly, I didn't feel lonely at all. When I asked for more details, this is what I learned. The Chihuahua named Lily was brought home by Karen, despite Maria's dislike for dogs. But Karen was about to get married and move out of her parents' house. Karen wanted to take Lily to her new home, but her fiancé was allergic to dogs and couldn't live with one. Maria's husband was a kind man but often away for work and couldn't take care of the dog. Why doesn't Maria take care of her? Please, just for a week. Just 1 week. Please. I sighed softly. I knew Maria's plan was to leave Lily with me for a week and then keep her here permanently. I felt sorry for the puppy that was so unwanted, so I reluctantly agreed. Karen repeatedly thanked me. "Thank you, Catherine," she said, looking at Lily with a wistful expression and stroking her head. "Keep next Sunday open, okay? I have a bunch of dog supplies at my house, and I need your help moving them. I'll pick you up with the car." After Maria and Karen left, I noticed Lily shivering slightly in the living room and turned on the air conditioner. Even as it got warmer, Lily continued to tremble, and when I touched her gently, she trembled even more, looking at me with her big eyes. "Are you shaking because you're cold, or are you afraid of me?" "I'm a little scared of you too, so we're even, right?" While I prepared Lily's food in the kitchen, she sat and stared at me. Every time I moved, Lily's small face would follow me with those big eyes. Even so, Lily never moved from her spot on the floor and didn't come closer to me. As night fell, I placed an old cushion I no longer used near Lily. With weak movements, she desperately tried to climb onto it. I watched her struggle from the couch as I casually glanced at the TV. It was then that I realized why Lily had been sitting in one place for so long. I see. I picked up her tiny body and placed her on the cushion. She buried her face in the soft cushion and soon fell asleep, looking satisfied. Though it wasn't obvious, there was something odd about her hind legs. It seemed she was born with a problem that made it difficult for her to walk properly or climb over steps. Thinking about how Maria had thrust a dog needing special care on me without explanation made me a little angry. But I also understood that Karen would have a hard time with Lily while getting married. I wanted Karen, who was about to get married, to be happy. Even though I didn't like dogs, I could hold and touch Lily because she was so quiet and never barked. When I go to work and come back home, I see Lily sitting on a cushion, her big, moist eyes looking at me. She doesn't greet me with a wagging tail when I return home. Lily just sits on the cushion, staring at me with an unreadable, mysterious expression. Day after day, being gazed at by those big eyes, I find myself gradually drawn to her. Time passes, and one sunny day, just before Karen's wedding, I got into a car accident and shards of the shattered windshield got into my eyes, causing me to lose my sight. Apparently, I was lying in a hospital bed, but when I regained consciousness, I didn't know where I was or even realize I had gone blind. I wondered why everything was dark, and when the doctor explained that I was blind, I couldn't stop trembling. It felt unreal, like something out of a dream. In the world where I couldn't see anything, I felt strangely sad as I confirmed my presence by touching each of my fingers one by one. Being single and having lost my parents, Maria, or rather, mostly Maria's husband and Karen, took care of me during my hospital stay. My boss and a few colleagues visited me in the hospital and asked the usual, "How are you feeling?" "I can no longer work with my current condition, so please let me resign." When I voiced, I felt a bit relieved. Maria's husband carefully explained what kind of support I would receive as a person with a disability and promised continued cooperation in the future. "Catherine, you don't have to force yourself to come to the wedding next week, okay?" Karen said, while taking care of me at my home after I was discharged from the hospital. Although I planned to have helpers come over, The welfare office application hasn't been approved yet, so Karen and Maria's husband will take turns coming to my house for a few days. I am unsure of how to respond to Karen. I wonder if attending the wedding in my current state would be a nuisance and feel awkward about causing unnecessary worry. I can sense Maria moving quickly around me. Working as a caregiver, Maria has experience in assisting people with disabilities. She knows more about the application for disability support and assistance information than anyone else, and she has helped me in many ways. However, the proximity to people with disabilities and the stress from her job likely affect her. She has become more prone to throwing harsh words at me. It's unfortunate that you lost your sight, but there are convenient tools now, so you can live just fine. Maria's voice, which proudly lists the names of tools for independent living for the visually impaired, was a bit excited. It's still only been a short time since you lost your sight, the wedding. It's okay. Even though it was a car accident, you didn't get a serious injury. You're already moving around, so don't skip it. You want to see Karen in her wedding dress, right? Oh, you can't see. I couldn't see Maria's face, but I sensed she was stifling a laugh, and anger welled up inside me. I stood up and told Maria to take me to the bathroom, and she grabbed my arm and led me there. Even though I've lived in my house for years, I can't get my bearings without sight, and I don't know which direction I'm facing without help. I felt anger towards Maria. But feeling that I can't live if I express it, I let Maria pull my arm, and along the way, I accidentally kicked something soft. From behind me, I heard Karen's small scream, "Lily!" and started doing something at my feet. "What are you doing? You almost kicked Lily because she was at your feet. You need to be careful how you walk since you can't see." I couldn't understand what she was doing, nothing was visible to me. Had I really kicked Lily just now? I felt like I had kicked something soft, but Lily was not the kind of dog that barked or ran away when someone approached. "And what's with your clothes, Catherine? They're full of wrinkles. It's hard to keep up with your appearance when you can't see, right?" In a world where I couldn't tell light from dark, I felt Maria was smiling, suppressing the anger that was shaking deep in my chest. "I will go to the wedding," I said. Hearing this, Maria thanked me happily and added that she would also like me to give a speech at the wedding. She was getting excited about making the wedding a touching event where a blind sister comes to celebrate her daughter's marriage. Ignoring Karen and Maria's husband who tried to stop her from overdoing it, Maria's excited voice continued, and I decided to share a bit of my pain with her. I grasped Maria's hand tightly. "I hope it will be a wonderful ceremony," I said with a smile. After that, I started visiting the hospital regularly, receiving psychological support to adapt to the loss of my vision and beginning rehabilitation. To improve the quality of my life as a completely blind person, I was suggested to use assistive devices and technology. Specifically, I was thrilled to hear about things like braille labels, braille watches, and now there is technology that can operate various devices through voice recognition. For daily tasks like housework, shopping, and cooking, I decided to develop the habit of touching everything around me to learn techniques and methods that do not rely on sight. First, I trained hard to develop a sense of direction so I could move freely within the house, but sometimes I still ended up kicking Lily. When I lost my sight, Karen said, "I'll look for a new home for Lily." But now, the presence of Lily had become a source of emotional support for me. "No, please, Karen. I'll take proper care of Lily." "But, you're going through such a difficult time yourself and Lily's legs." "I know. But I still want to be with Lily." On lonely nights, I would find Lily by touch and hug her, bringing her into bed with me. I started sleeping while gently stroking Lily's quiet hind legs, as she never barked or acted out. with my visual impairment and Lily's leg disability. I couldn't prepare her food or take her for walks. Lily, too, had little chance of becoming a guide dog. She couldn't walk well and had never barked once. Feeling like we were both unnecessary to anyone in the world, I hugged Lily's body tightly. That night, it started raining, and the sound of raindrops resonated in my ears, making it impossible to sleep. I buried my face in Lily's body, focusing on the sound of her heartbeat coming from beneath her warm fur, which finally calmed my mind enough to sleep. Then, on the day of Karen's wedding, I decided to go to the venue with the guide helper, whom I regularly used. "All right, see you later." Leaving the guide helper, I walked with my white cane towards the entrance of the venue. Soon, a staff member from the venue called out to us and guided us to the waiting room inside the venue. Maria tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Wow! You didn't trip on your way here? I want to make everyone feel moved by Catherine's appearance today. Can you talk about how you've adapted to your new situation with the support of so many people up to now?" "Adapted to my new situation?" "Yes. I'll be right next to you for support. Karen and the others are starting a new life too, right? So say something like, 'I've been inspired by their new beginning.' I'll wrap it up." When I fell silent, Maria walked away somewhere for a while, then returned and handed me a small glass. She said, "It's alcohol." So I immediately tried to push the glass back, saying I didn't need it. Since I lost my sight, I haven't drunk alcohol even once. It's not that I hate it, but I just couldn't feel the desire to drink. Maria forcibly pushed the glass back to my chest and said, "It's rude not to drink at a celebration, right?" Then she quietly brought her face close to my ear and whispered, "Hey, Catherine. Don't you think people with disabilities are like caterpillars?" "What?" "They look gross, and if you touch them carelessly, you'll get a rash. To survive from now on, you'll absolutely need the cooperation of those around you. You're like a caterpillar, but you have to prove that you're not poisonous." I felt goosebumps all over my body. Maria quickly added, "Maybe calling you a caterpillar was too much." She laughed and tapped my shoulder, making me almost drop the glass in my hand. Eventually, Maria led me to the room where the bride was changing, explaining that there was a beautiful Karen in a pure white dress sitting in a chair. "Look! Isn't she gorgeous?" When Maria walked away from me to approach Karen, I felt a bit uneasy and leaned against the wall, groping for support. After waiting in that state for a while, someone touched my shoulder. It was the male guide helper who had brought me here. "Huh. Manager. What are you doing here?" Actually, the guide helper was Maria's boss at her workplace. Normally, he doesn't do caregiving work on site, but this time I had asked him specially to come. Maria's boss, who had spoken to me in a very gentle and kind tone, began to speak in a completely different, stern tone. "Maria, I've heard the circumstances. It seems you've been treating Catherine quite rudely." "Rude? We're sisters, so there are some things we don't hold back on." Maria's boss immediately shouted, "Stop lying!" Since I lost my sight, Maria had often made derogatory remarks to me. I had summarized these incidents and reported them to her boss. Moreover, the recent car accident was caused by Maria's driving mistake, and I was involved as a result. But she had apparently blamed the accident on me. Mom told me the accident was Catherine's fault. That Catherine had forced her to overtake the car in front because Mom was driving too slowly. Wait! That's... I could sense Maria's agitation in the darkness. After the accident, I had reassured a depressed Maria, who felt responsible for my blindness due to her driving, saying, "Don't worry about it. It's nobody's fault." I had those memories. If she had just kept that story hidden, that would have been one thing. But hearing from Karen that Maria had been blaming me to relatives made me realize I didn't need to hold back anymore. I reported all of Maria's actions to her boss, asking him to take appropriate action. That's why Maria's boss showed up at this event, furious. Maria's boss said, "As someone working in welfare, this behavior is unacceptable. We will seriously consider disciplinary action." Hearing this, "Don't be ridiculous!" Maria suddenly shouted. As if on cue, Maria's husband and fiancé entered the room. This timing had been prearranged by me and Maria's boss to confront her in this setting. Determined to be thorough, the room filled up as all the relatives invited to the wedding gathered. My relatives harshly rebuked her. "How dare you behave this way after causing Catherine to go blind with your driving? It's disgraceful." As many relatives continued to criticize Maria. "Everyone, I'm truly sorry for today," her husband said loudly. "Maria, I want a divorce." "What? What are you talking about? Are you crazy?" "Maria, you've been bad-mouthing my sister since she became disabled, right? If I end up sick or injured, you'd probably treat me the same way. I can't live with you anymore." Shocked by the sudden divorce declaration, Maria cried out and rushed towards me, overwhelmed by the surrounding voices of condemnation. "Hey! What's going on, Catherine? Why are you ruining Karen's wedding?" "That wasn't my intention at all. I just wanted everyone to understand my feelings." "But still, choosing Karen's wedding day." "It was my idea to confront Mom like this today." After hearing Maria's weakened voice. "What?" Maria fell silent. Karen, too, feeling intense disgust towards her mother's attitude to me, said emphatically, "I don't want anything to do with Mom ever again." "Mom, do you remember the first day I brought Lily home?" "Lily? The day you brought home that stray dog?" Karen began to speak slowly. "It happened a few years ago. A white chihuahua without a collar had been abandoned by the river. Karen had picked it up and brought it home. The reason for its abandonment was soon clear. The chihuahua's hind legs were paralyzed, barely moving. They took it to the vet, but it was a genetic condition with no treatment. Karen believed that her mother, working in welfare, would take good care of the chihuahua. "I want to keep this puppy," she told her mother, but received an openly displeased look. She said she didn't understand why we'd adopt a disabled dog. I'll never forget it. She never took care of it, leaving it in the cage while I was at school, so its front legs weakened too. Now, the dog just sits on a cushion, neither barking nor moving. Its front legs had also weakened from lack of use, on top of its paralyzed hind legs." "This isn't the time to talk about that. Just leave. This is my wedding day. I want to celebrate it with people who care about me." Karen's stern words left Maria speechless, and after a while, she left the room with heavy steps. I couldn't see the expressions on the others' faces, but there was a palpable sense of discomfort in the air, and I felt a deep ache in my heart. What an atmosphere to create on a wedding day, I thought, unable to say anything, just looking down. Eventually, Karen's fiancé called out, "Everyone!" and said, "We will now continue with the wedding." He shouted, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am deeply sorry. There has been a problem, but we do not need to stop here." He continued, "Karen and I are determined to walk through life together with a strong bond of love that cannot be swayed by such small difficulties. There may be challenges in our married life, but we believe those are opportunities to deepen our love and we will strive to overcome them. Karen stood by her fiancé. "Everyone, please help us to overcome this trouble and bring smiles to this special day." The bride and groom earnestly pleaded, and the audience responded with loud applause. I quietly clapped by the wall. "Karen, congratulations on your marriage," I whispered. Thanks to the efforts of the bride and groom, the wedding proceeded smoothly and it turned out to be a very happy day for the two of them. Later, it was revealed through an investigation at the workplace that Maria had made inappropriate remarks not only to me but also to other disabled employees. She was fired and forced to move away as her husband and Karen abandoned her. Maria tried to find another job in social work, but word had spread among other companies about her prejudice against disabled people, and she found herself unable to get rehired. Maria called me once after the wedding. After some small talk about my current life and how Karen and her husband were doing, Maria, after a long silence, said, "I'm sorry for blaming the car accident on you, Catherine. I had lived without any significant hardships. My daughter finally got married. I thought my life was perfect. But that accident, it was the only stain on my life." So, I hung up the call while Maria was still talking. I realized I had nothing more to say to her. As for me, I was gradually adapting to my new circumstances. There were support services in my neighborhood that I had never known about when I was able-bodied, and various aides from different support centers kindly helped me with daily living skills training. I started with basic exercises to avoid tripping in the room, then moved on to grooming tasks like brushing my teeth and cutting my nails. There were also efforts to reduce the time spent searching for things by keeping items in fixed places, and my daily life became filled with various trainings, including cooking and laundry. Nowadays, smartphones and tablets have well-developed voice recognition features, allowing me to enjoy music without complicated operations. I sat down, closed my eyes slowly. The comforting music flowed through me, soothing my soul. Something soft brushed against my bare feet, and as I reached out, my fingertips were licked. Gently, I tried to find Lily, who should have been there, but she wasn't. I gave up standing up from the chair and leaned back when Lily let out a faint bark. It took me a few seconds to realize it was a bark I had never heard from Lily before, and I stood up in surprise as Lily barked again softly. I approached the window where Lily's bark came from, following her sound. After finding her by touch, I picked her up and felt the warm sunlight on my cheek as I touched the curtains. "It's a nice day, yes, let's go for a walk together," I said, opening the front door while holding Lily. The warm sunlight poured down on Lily and me.